We live in this world now where maybe not we have the assemblers or
Right.
who are just kind of there putting it together. Where I would think maybe more and more kids aren't even realizing how much artistic influence they have every single day.
Right.
If they are social media, creators or consumers of it, and they'll even encourage you like, oh yeah, you should just get like even on YouTube, it'll tell you like, hey, here's a channel that's similar to yours. Now just go take their idea and do your own thing with it.
Right.
And you're like, okay, so then maybe the way I assemble it all together is different, right? But it's like, I never really kind of thought of like, even though you're like kind of stealing, it's not really stealing. I guess it's trying to re-enhance someone's art and get it put out there with your own spin on it. Does that make sense?
So one of my favorite professors, who was an art history professor, art is not created in a vacuum.
Yeah.
We are inspired by something. And we came from somewhere. There were cave drawings at one point. Now I can log on to my iPad and I can do a digital drawing. And I can immediately post it, immediately turn it into a sticker. Yeah. It's just incredible what we can do. But that didn't happen overnight. That also took the creation of an iPad, but I could draw something that looked like a cave drawing, but art is not created in a vacuum. And we look at history and how things evolve and are made and, different things. So it's always an inspiration from something.
Do you think some art, though, is just way overvalued?
It's funny you ask that. So in particular, if you look at Jackson Pollock, are you familiar with his work?
A little bit.
Okay. His is like splatter painting.
Right.
Right. And any person could walk by and say, I could do that. Yeah, but you didn't. He did it first. So, where you can say there's Mark Rothko color field paintings, which is just basically a big block of the color blue and maybe a little bit of red above it. You think, I could do that.
But you didn't.
So that's, the question of, there was, I think there was like just a banana there was one artist that did just a banana with a nail through it and put it on the wall. I don't know. So it's just, are you familiar with Banksy, that artist? He is an anonymous graffiti artist. And I believe he originated out of London. So literally his artwork is graffiti and prints of graffiti. And he is still anonymous as far as I know.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, but it's graffiti. Now he sells his paintings in museums and actually pulls stunts. He sold a painting, I think the Smithsonian, and where it erased into, like, as soon as it was sold, and I think it was at Sotheby's, as soon as it was sold, it went into a shredder.
Really?
Uh-huh. It's really, he is a very interesting artist. But he's a graffiti artist. You don't, to a normal person, you would never call graffiti high art, right? But he has kind of, because he's done it anonymously, and his messaging behind his art is pretty controversial sometimes. So it has made him famous anonymously.
Like politically or something, like politically charged. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and my thoughts on overvalue is not someone else's thoughts, right? I guess that's why there's a market for everything, right? And, maybe I see a nail through a banana, but someone else sees some crazy metaphor,
right,
or symbolism or something that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wonder, like with the splatter stuff, like, okay, what if I did my own splatter thing? There's going to be something about it, though, where they know that wasn't Jackson Pollock. Is that his name?
Right.
They know it's not a Jackson Pollock.
Right.
Well, why? I thought I splattered pretty well.
Because there aren't cigarettes in it. So there actually are, like, you can find cigarettes in his work. Yeah. It was, I think, the 1950s he did most of his work.